Hi everyone, Miles here with another quick tutorial on playing live with the Elektron Digitone, and today I want to show you a trick that I used a lot in my last techno jam, which is linked up somewhere here in case that you haven't seen it, and I call this trick the delay feedback loop. Now, what is the trick? It is kind of like a pattern variation using the global delay settings, which you find by hitting Function and the filter button, and there especially the feedback, which is this one here, to add variation to your pattern. The basic idea behind that is to raise the global delay feedback to have a fuller sound wall in a kind of like feedback loop and then get creative with that. I think it is easier to show you than when I explain it. So I have this pattern going, and now I'll crank up the feedback gain till around here, add some reverb, and now I'll mute all tracks. And now I have this kind of like loop, which I can make louder when I increase the feedback gain, or I can lower it. And I can also do some other tricks with it. I can have it kind of like here, becoming louder, but at the same time increasing the filter. So this is a really cool trick, as you have seen, to make transitions, to make build-ups and or drops when playing the Digitone live, but you can also get some really crazy loops going while cranking up the whole pattern and then just jump back. So really nice stuff, and I'll show you how you can use it in your jams. Before you start, it is important to check to which tracks and sounds you send your delay. So for example, on track 1, if we go in the second amp page, here it is, we can see where our delay is going to. And here I have my kick drum on, and you can see I have no delay going to the kick drum, but I have some sound locks here in the track. For example, this hi-hat here, or this one, and this step sound here. And you can see they all have a delay on them. On track number 2, the bass, I have a tiny bit of chorus on the bass sound, and when I go to the chorus menu, you can see that I'm sending some delay to the chorus. So this is also something you should keep in mind, that this sound now will be affected by the trick as well. Now back to the second amp page and to track number 3, which is the lead track. There is a tiny bit of delay going to the track, and track number 4 is the ARP track. There is also some delay going to the track. And it's really important to set up your sends correctly, because every sound that you are sending delay to will be in the loop later on. Really important to keep that in mind if you, for example, want to change something or to get some sounds out of your loop. You can always go back to that and fix it. Now, it is also important to set up your global delay settings. I, for example, set mine to 8th notes. I have the ping pong delay on with a value of 45. I have the feedback gain to 54, then some filter going on to cut off some of the low end, and to be fair, quite a huge amount of reverb on that one. But I really like it, and it suits the track kind of well. And the last thing is to save your pattern by hitting Function and yes, because when you're playing now live and use this trick and now play with your global delay settings and now mess them all up, you can now, by hitting Function and no, quickly jump back and then return to the safe state. Now, for my jams, I basically use this trick in 2 different ways. The first one is kind of like the basic version, where I only tweak the feedback and the reverb. And for that, I'll just have the pattern playing right now, and I increase the feedback till it's around 95, then add some reverb. Now I take out my kick and my bass. Now I crank up the reverb to the max. And now I bring it back in. And now I can lower the feedback to have this kind of like fading out again. And now I can maybe go back and then increase it again. And now lower it again. And if I want to go back now, I can just slowly lower them. And now I hit function and no. And I'm back in the pattern that I just started with. Now there is one very, very, very important thing that you always need to keep in mind. The feedback gain can be very, very useful, but it can also be very, very dangerous. So it's really, really important that you don't crank up the feedback too high. Although you can get really, really creative with that, you should be extremely careful by turning the feedback up. Now, for me, I kind of like look at this like the 95, which is the value when you just turn it halfway up, is kind of like my last safe state that I use. Otherwise, when I go higher than that, I can quickly have blasted my ears and the ears of my listeners, and I don't want that. So be really, really aware of that you have always control about your feedback gain. So for me, and you could keep that in mind as well, everything above 95 is only used purposefully and with caution. Now, for the second version, which I call the fun version, we are not only tweaking the feedback and the reverb, but also the time by cranking the time nearly all the way up, which I'll show you right now. So we are starting like we did in the basic pattern by increasing the feedback and the reverb and taking out the kick. And now I crank up the time. And now I created this little loop here that we can now play with. I can, for example, now increase the feedback gain to 100 and then cut a little bit of the low end of the loop that it's playing. Maybe a little less here. And now I can, for example, bring back in the drums and the bass to play along with this loop. And now, for example, if I want to go back, I can do the same as I did before. I can unmute the other tracks, just a bit decrease the feedback, decrease the reverb as well. And now, just to make the transition, just hit function and no. This way we can just get back to the regular pattern that we started with. Now this second method is, I think, a lot more creative. You can do really, really great stuff with that. This was just one way of using it, but I really, really like that. And this way you can create loops that aren't in your pattern, but you can have these loops play along with parts of your pattern, like I did with the drums here and the bass. Yeah. I really love this trick while I'm jamming with the Digitone. I think it takes some practice at first, but when you know how the delay signal behaves, it's just great for getting creative with your patterns. Yeah, that's it for today. I hope you found this one useful. Let me know if you are going to use it, if you're afraid of the feedback again. And yeah, I see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Cheers.